Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Closet Movie Rambles, where I talk about old movies that I found in my closet while waiting. This week's movie is Winnie the Pooh and the Heffalump movie, and it's about 1 hour and 5 minutes long. And the movie starts with Pooh monologuing, and then cutting to him waking up. So does Piglet and Tigger and Roo as well. And they hear like an elephant, sounding, but they don't know it's an elephant, so they go to the rabbit to figure out if he knows what it is. And they find some strange footprints outside, and they decide it's a heffalump, because that's what they decided to do. So they sing a song about it because it's a Disney movie. And then they decide to do an expedition, and they prep. But Roo can't come because he's too young and it's too dangerous of an expedition. So he goes home and his mom sings him a song, and then he goes to bed. But the next morning he decides to just sneak out and go deep into the woods and follow the prince. So then the rest of the groups are on their way, and Piglet drops some jelly beans to leave like a breadcrumb trail so they will find their way back, and they enter the deep forest and they start to sing. And just about immediately they get separated, so, by mistake of course. And then Roo he drops his rope into the river because that was part of his equipment, and he tried to fish it up with a stick, but then the heffalump behind his back eats his lunch. And Roo is kind of puzzled by this, so he kind of followed the breadcrumbs into a dark, like a small house, and he encounters the heffalump, and they start to play, and he gets dragged along basically. And then cutting back to Pooh and Piglet, and Pooh has eaten all the jelly beans, so they don't know where to go. So they're basically lost. And then the heffalump's elephant mom calls him, but Roo kind of talks him over and tells him that he needs to see his friend instead, and kind of tells him that he's a good heffalump. So the mother looks for a kid, and the rabbit tries to impersonate the heffalump, and that drags Piglet and Pooh to their location, and they actually capture Tigger and Rabbit. And then the heffalump arrives at the fence with Roo, and he's afraid of that part of the 7-acre woods because he's heard stories about the bad creatures that live there, such as the Tigger and whatnot. But Roo explains to him that they're basically they got it all wrong. Just as they are afraid of the heffalumps, the elephant creatures, it's the other way around. They've been told horror stories about it. And then Tigger, Piglet, Rabbit, and Pooh hides in a log just as Eeyore arrives. And then Lumpy, the heffalump, they enter Pooh's house, and they basically eat his honey, and they make a mess, and they leave the door open. And then they go to Rabbit's house, and they eat watermelon, and they have a food fight, and they destroy most of his crops because they're just playing as kids. And then they go for a swim because they're all, and they go for a swim and to clean up, and they sing a song, and they basically become friends. So as the other arrives home, they see the devastation that's been happening, so they decide to rig a trap for the heffalump. And Lumpy and Roo, they go to see Lumpy's mom. They try to look for her, but Lumpy can't call her because he hasn't learned how to use his trunk fully yet, so he just do weird noises. And meanwhile, Roo's mom, Kangoo, is calling for him, but Roo doesn't hear her, and Lumpy is sad because he can't reunite with his mom. So Roo thinks that the best thing would be to see his mom because she will know what to do. So the other try to capture Lumpy, and they run after him, and Roo tries to find him, and they find him trapped, and he managed to break him out of there. And meanwhile this is happening, his mom, Kangoo, is watching and sees it all, and the others arrive and they try to capture him, and a lot of stuff happens, but Roo gets captured in like one of the traps or under some logs, and Lumpy managed to call for his mom, and the mom arrives and basically helps him out, and it's all a happy ending, and Rabbit kind of apologized for all the bad things that he's been doing through this expedition. So what do I think about this movie? It's a little bit sweet for my taste, and I know it's a movie for kids, but I thought I'd do something different. I've been watching a lot of black and white movies and action movies and whatnot, so I think, like a child movie would be doing the trip, breaking the norm. Because when you do reviews, you have to change up your game a bit. You have to challenge yourself with something you normally wouldn't do. So I think it's a good movie. As a kid, I probably love it, but just the whole Disney thing with like singing and when it's made to prove a point and drive the plot forward, it's fine. But usually, I don't like singing just as much as I used to, I guess. But it's an okay movie. Kids will probably love it. So, anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.